age of 15, Ashish Thakkar started a small IT shop. I guess it was a way of him keeping out of trouble and nurturing his love of technology. Well, that small shop was the stepping stone to much bigger things. It eventually led to the creation of the Mara Group, a multi-sector company specializing in ICT services, media, financial services, manufacturing and property. The Mara Group is a classic example of how a small endeavor can turn into something truly revolutionary. Ashish Thakkar takes us through the journey. The warmest welcome to CNBC and to Entrepreneurial Edge. So, is it urban legend at 15 you weren't playing with cars and chasing the girls? You're running an IT shop that eventually became this multi-million-dollar entity?
I think, yeah, it was a combination of that. but just to give you a bit of a background, I mean, our family is originally, we've been in Uganda for about 120 years. Yeah. In 1972, the Idi Amin saga happened, so our family shifted to England. That's where I was born and partly raised. At the age of 13, we shifted to Rwanda, and I was studying in Nairobi at the time. Yeah. So basically, from April 3rd, '94, when I was 13, I went to Kigali for my Easter holidays, and April 4th, the day after, the genocide started. So we as a family pretty much basically lost everything, and we were refugees for about 3 weeks. We were taken to the famous Hotel Rwanda, which is the Hotel de Mille Inn, and went through that entire episode. We then shifted to Uganda and started from scratch. So I think it was more of that the push and the boost from that, the want to try and make a difference, and obviously start from scratch.
But that consciousness at age 15, I mean, to go through a harrowing experience of being at the epicenter of a genocide and thinking to yourself, the world is not ending, I can fix this, I can be part of a solution. Where does that come from?
I think, it gives you a very different perspective when you go through something like that. Because at that time, it's really a matter of, are we going to get out alive? I mean, it's a completely different perspective to what you're normally used to. And when you go through something like that at an age when you can pretty much remember everything, it obviously changes your thinking, it changes your mindset. So I think that's what really instills that.
Mm-hmm. All right, so from that you started a small IT shop, because as you say, your family lost everything. That IT shop then morphed into what we now know as the Mara Group, this multi-sector company that spans across 4 continents. How did that happen? So,
firstly, to the IT shop. The IT shop, I was then studying in Uganda, and after school, I loved business. So it was one of those things that I got a computer at home. I got a used computer. My parents bought me a computer, which we could just about afford at that time. And my father's friend came home for dinner, and I managed to sell him that computer. And I made $100. So I was like, wow, this is pretty good. So every day after school, I would actually go door-to-door marketing, trying to sell a computer. And my summer holidays came, and there was a new shopping center coming up. So I convinced my parents to let me just temporarily, during my 2-month break, let me just put up a little IT shop. So I did that. My holidays finished, and conveniently, I didn't remind my parents. That didn't last very long, obviously. So within a week, they found out that obviously school started. Yeah. And we had a nice discussion in which we kind of really explained to them that I'm going to end up doing this. This is something I really want to do. So they said, we'll give it a try for a year, and if it works out, then great. If it doesn't, then I go back a year.
They weren't worried that you'd burn your fingers?
I think my father's an amazing person in that respect, where he wanted to give me that opportunity, but on the condition that if it didn't work out after a year, I'd go a year below. So that's how it all really started. Mm-hmm. Once the IT business started, then we were buying goods from Dubai, mm-hmm. and so you could see some great potential in the bottlenecks of trying to buy IT from Dubai and bring it down to Africa, and the people in Dubai were just not really understanding that. So within 9 months of setting up the Uganda shop, we set up the main office in Dubai, right. And trying to service Africa and curb the obstacles.
Let's chip away at this in small blocks. So the IT aspect of the business started to take off quite lucratively. When you then moved into other areas, for instance, real estate, manufacturing, media, did you not feel that you were taking on too much? There's often that criticism that African companies need to hone in on one talent and really nurture that. Don't try to be a jack of all trades.
Absolutely agreed. And I think, where our major milestone in terms of mindset was the fact that there are three things that evolved. And, as a family business, you obviously have quite a few challenges in general terms. So there are three things that evolved. Firstly, we realized that, if you do something on your own and you do one particular thing and you put 100% into it, you're going to get 100% out of it. Whereas if you delegate certain things, then naturally you may not get 100%. So my philosophy was that, if you're going to get 60% and you do 5 of those things, you're ending up getting 300%. So the first thing came about, which was empowerment. How to delegate, how to create give more empowerment to your people and give them more authority. The second factor that came in was the side of, if you're going to be doing this, then let's not only look at your day-to-day income that you're trying to get on your bottom line at the end of the month, but it was more of value creation, creating something unique, right? So that mindset shifted. Right. And the third part which was the biggest part for us, which is playing a key role, and to answer your question directly, is joint ventures. So, doing everything on your own, you can own a large piece of a small pie, but when you start doing strategic joint ventures and bring in partners who are bigger and better at that particular thing than you, it changes the whole perspective.
What about managing risk? And I'll tell you why I say this. Obviously, ICT's demonstrated itself to offer great returns for investors. It's great value proposition in Africa, which is wireless. But real estate hasn't been quite as lucrative. With the recent credit crisis, it's meant, in some instances, even a property bust. Prices have gone down. Credit isn't flowing into the mortgage sector. Yes, people want homes, particularly first-time homes across Africa, but the banks aren't really prepared to release the money to real estate developers and the like. So you've got one aspect of your business that shows fantastic growth, and then another aspect of your business that has incumbent risks. How do you hedge against those?
Well, you see, it really depends. I mean, if you're looking at it on a speculator's perspective, then naturally you're going to have those challenges in terms of the property bust, that took place is all based on speculation. When you look at the things that we're trying to achieve and we're trying to do, they're genuine usage. There's genuine usage. There's genuine demand. One challenge that I absolutely agree with you is in terms of the mortgage side that hasn't kicked up. Now, when the capital comes in on the mortgage factor, the challenge comes in that the cost of the debt for the end user is a huge challenge, and that again makes it very unaffordable. In some of the countries which we operate in, you're looking at close to 20%. I mean, and at a 15-year tenor, it's ridiculously high.
Some of those countries you operate in, Uganda, your native country in many respects, and you've got their kingdom Kampala, which is basically this vision to have real estate and hospitality all in one complex. You're also involved with something alongside Lake Victoria. I don't really want to know about the business. I want to know about doing business in Uganda. A lot has changed, but the more things change, some would argue, the more they stay the same. A very repressive political environment, and yet with oil coming on stream in 2011, many business opportunities, but you've got to navigate the opportunities that you see with the hostile political situation on the other side.
I beg to differ. I think it's absolutely not hostile at all. Unfortunately, things are exaggerated in a lot of ways. Our political situation, I would say, is very stable, and the recent issues are issues that we all go through. But if you look at our presidential elections that took place a few months ago, they were very peaceful. So in that respect, Uganda is actually positioned to be a great case study, in my opinion, with oil coming in, and the way it's being managed, the way the mindset is working around how to manage it and how to maximize benefit for the country, having refineries on the ground within our country, ensuring maximum employment and investment is within our country. looking at making these international oil companies cross-list on our local stock exchanges. I think the mindset is fantastic. And I think we're positioned to hopefully be quite a successful case study.
I still want to hamper on this issue of political repression, because certainly after the elections we started to see quite a lot of violence being perpetrated by the security forces. It's all over the international media. Human Rights Watch has referred to it. Then there was also the whole much publicized case of Heritage Oil embroiled in a tax battle with the government over licenses that have been issued and investment prospects. So there is a sense that you do go in there at your own peril. You say it's an exaggerated sense. So how do you overcome, for instance, some of those uncertainties?
You see, my personal opinion is that I think as Uganda we don't say our side of the story well enough. Heritage Oil, for example, is a perfect example that, you know, I mean, the tax was due and it was necessary for it to come in. By the government demanding for it is a good sign that the government was actually put its foot down and said, we actually want that. India's case study of Vodafone's recent issues there have been a perfect example to that. So I think it's good that the country actually put its foot down and ensured that that tax revenue came in, because that money is going to be used for the development of our country. The violence is something that did take place, but it wasn't due to the elections. It was post, or for a completely different reason. So in terms of navigating through that, I think Uganda is a very investor-friendly country. It's a matter of finding the right opportunities, which I absolutely agree with. But it's an extremely, I think East Africa as a whole is very pro-investor, FDI, so it's a good destination.
Okay, I want us to continue on this tack, but that would have to be after the break. Just your views on doing business in India, in Dubai, in the UK, and across the spectrum of African countries where you've invested. Just take us through that.